John, a 65-year-old male, has gone to the emergency room. He clutches his stomach in intense pain, suffering from a severe gastrointestinal illness.
While it may seem that the incidence of foodborne illness increases yearly, people have been sick from foodborne illnesses since the beginning of time. Many food preparation techniques, such as cooking, salting, canning, and fermentation, were born out of a motivation to reduce foodborne illnesses. The enhanced capabilities of the modern food safety system to detect pathogens and issue recalls has only increased our awareness and action to mitigate food safety emergencies. Although the science and technology we benefit from today did not exist hundreds of years ago, people have been concerned about food quality and safety. It is believed that the first English food law, the Assize of Bread, was proclaimed by King John of England in 1202, prohibiting alteration of bread with ingredients such as ground peas or beans. In 1862, President Abraham Lincoln formed the U.S. Department of Agriculture, aka the USDA, and appointed chemist Charles M. Wetherill to lead the Division of Chemistry, which would become the Bureau of Chemistry in 1901 and the Food and Drug Administration in 1906. In 1906, Pure Food and Drug Act and Federal Meal Inspections Act passed. The Pure Food and Drug Act prevented the manufacture, sales, or transportation of adulterated or misbranded food, drugs, medicines, and liquors. The Federal Meat Inspection Act prohibited the sales of adulterated or misbranded meat products for food, and ensured that meat and meat products were slaughtered and processed under sanitary conditions. In 1913, the Washington Supreme Court announced that, to the old rule that a manufacturer is not liable to third persons who have no contractual relations for negligence in the manufacture of an article, should be added another exception, not one arbitrary worked by the court, but arising, as did the three earlier exceptions mentioned, from the changing conditions of society. An exception to a rule will be declared by court when the case is not an isolated instance, but in general, in its character, and the existing rule does not square with justice. Under such circumstances, a court will, if free from the restraint of some statute, declare a rule that will meet the full intent of the law. And so the court held that anyone injured by a food product had the right to sue the manufacturer for breach of an implied warranty that the food was safe. In 1967, Fair Packaging and Label Act enacted. The Fair Packaging and Label Act was enacted to prevent unfair or deceptive packaging and labeling of many household products, including foods. The act required the identification of commodities, the name and location of the manufacturer, packers, and distributors, and the net quantity of contents in terms of weight, measure, or numerical count. In 1970, the Centers for Disease Control, aka CDC, began keeping records on foodborne illness-related deaths in the U.S., marking the beginning of modern data collection on foodborne illness outbreaks.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that about 48 million people get sick, 128,000 are hospitalized, and 3,000 die each year from foodborne pathogens in the United States.
In 1997, the Food and Drug Modernization Act amended the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. Among the major provisions in the act is an expansion of the SDA's authority to regulate health and nutrient content claims and to establish processes related to the food contact substances in new products. In 2011, the Food Safety Modernization Act, aka the FSMA, was signed into law. The FSMA enabled the FDA to focus on food safety preventative measures rather than being reactionary when an outbreak occurs. The law changes many regulatory structures designed to protect the public from foodborne illnesses, but it mainly updates the Food and Drug Administration's authority to regulate food.
Other diseases are poisonings caused by harmful toxins or chemicals that have contaminated food. People have always gotten sick from food, but with our increased knowledge of pathogen transmission and our ability to determine the source of an illness, foodborne outbreaks are more readily recognized.
There has been many changes throughout the years, for an example, like consumption of unpasteurized milk. Consumption of unpasteurized milk or raw milk can result in transmissions of pathogens, such as the pathogen shown. In the early 12th century, routine pasteurizations of milk from cows became widespread in the United States and led to dramatic reductions in disease and infant mortality previously associated with unpasteurized milk consumption. Pasteurization ensures that the fluid, milk, and milk products do not contain harmful pathogens by heating every particle of milk to one of the appropriate temperatures for at least the corresponding specific length of time. Both federal and state laws govern the sales of unpasteurized milk. In 1987, the FDA mandated that all milk and milk products in final packaging forms for direct human consumption be pasteurized before shipping in interstate commerce. The sales of unpasteurized milk within each state is governed by state laws, which varies widely. A survey conducted in 2011 indicated that 20 states prohibited the sales of unpasteurized milk, but states' legislators across the country has changed considerably since analysis of the survey data. Foodborne disease outbreak surveillance system collects data from states, local and territorial health department, and federal investigators on pathogens, food settings, and other characteristics of foodborne disease outbreak. As of May 2019, 24 jurisdictions prohibit all sales of unpasteurized milk for human consumption, and 27 states allow the sale of unpasteurized milk. Of the 27 states allowing sales, 14 allow general retail sales, which includes provisions allowing the retail sales without specifying or restricting the locations or sales at stores. The modern legal framework for foodborne illnesses have changed throughout the years. Now, consumers ill with foodborne illnesses have reduced incentives to pursue legal claims if health insurance or employees' benefits programs cover some of the cost of their illnesses. The vet in Freeland in 1988 found that after private and public insurance, patients directly paid for only 56% of all national healthcare expenditures. They also found that in general, the more expensive the service, the less did the individual pay. Because consumers tend to be risk averse, they want insurance coverage when they could become ill. If a defendant in foodborne illness jury trials is found liable and compensation is awarded to the plaintiff, the award may be based upon components such as medical costs, past, present, and projected after insurance, or loss of productivity, losses in project loss, future earnings, other dollar losses, and general losses that are difficult to monetize. Changes in the law positively impact exposures to liability in the relevant industry. The law ensures that the person can be protected from harm or injuries, and if they are, they can ensure that they can be compensated so that the negligence can be taken care of appropriately. Thank you.